Right, so now that we've registered for Firebase and we've also downloaded the stub project, it's time to set up our database. So if you head back over to your console, on the overview page over here, you can see various wizards that you can use to set up your Firebase. So the button that we're going to click on is this one, i.e. add Firebase to your iOS app. And next, we're going to add in our bundle ID. Now, if you head back over to Xcode, you can find your bundle identifier over here. Now, because your bundle identifier has to be unique, remember you should always change the reverse domain name part to your own name or your own domain if you have one. So in our case, because our website is londonartbrewery.com, it will be reverse domained to com.londonartbrewery. So just go ahead and change this part to your name if you don't have a website. And then you're going to copy the bundle identifier and you're going to paste it into here. And then we're going to leave the app nickname empty as well as the app ID empty. And we're going to go ahead and click Add App. So having completed that step, Firebase will generate a Google Service info.plist file. And we're going to click on this button in order to download it. And once it's completed downloading, we're going to follow their instructions and move this file into our application folder just below the info.plist that we've got. So if we head back over to our Xcode, and then if you go ahead and locate that file in your downloads folder, so it's called Google Service-info.plist, and you can go ahead and drag it into your FlashChat file just below the info.plist file in the supporting files folder. Now Xcode will give you a prompt and just check to make sure that the copy items if needed tick box is checked and also the add to targets FlashChat checkbox is checked. This just means that we're going to copy our file into our FlashChat folder instead of creating a reference to it inside our downloads folder, which means if we delete it from the downloads folder, then everything's going to break. And this part just means that this file is going to be relating to this FlashChat app that we're creating. So then go ahead and click Finish and you'll see it appear here. So now if we go back to the FlashChat setup wizard and we click continue, then it's actually going to give us instructions for how we can use CocoaPods to set up the Firebase SDK. Now this part should be pretty familiar to you already. So we can go ahead and go into our terminal and we're going to cd or change directory into our desktop. Now if we have a look on our desktop, our FlashChat app is actually called flash-chat-master. And that's what we're going to change directory into. So again, cd flash-chat-master. And now terminal tells us that we're inside the FlashChat master folder. And this is where we want to do our pod init to set up new CocoaPods. And then we're going to enter open podfile-a Xcode with a capital X to open up the pod file in Xcode, and I've just made a typo there, so I'm going to type up on my keyboard and that takes me to the last command I entered, and I'm going to add a D to the pod file and then hit enter, and now it will open up my pod file inside Xcode, and we're going to uncomment this part, target platform iOS 9.0. And then inside the part where we're going to add our pods, we're going to add 5 CocoaPods. So we're going to write pod Firebase
version 3.17,
pod Firebase /auth. So that's the authentication module. And then we're going to write pod Firebase /database, which is the real-time database module. And we're also going to add something called SV Progress HUD, which is a heads-up display that'll allow us to show the user when something is loading. So we can give them a little loading animation. And the last one that I want to add is called Chameleon Framework. Okay, so just check to make sure that you've typed everything correctly, including the casing. So upper and lower casing are very important here because we're going to search within the CocoaPod directory for all of these modules, and we're going to be downloading them and incorporating them into our FlashChat project. So we just have to make sure that we've spelled everything correctly and that we've got a single quotation mark around each of these CocoaPod names. So once that's done, we're going to hit Command S to save, and we're going to close the pod file as well as the FlashChat project. Then if we go back into terminal, we're going to write pod install to install all of those CocoaPods that we just incorporated. So terminal is going to work in the background, downloading all of those frameworks and code files. And once you see this message, pod installation complete, and you don't see anything that is red anywhere in your terminal, then you're all good to go. So you can go ahead and close down terminal, and we're just gonna click finish to get rid of the setup wizard. So now you will see that you've got an app inside your FlashChat Firebase database, and this, as you can see, is tagged as an iOS app. Now, if you wanted to use the same Firebase database for your Android app as well, then you can add another app over here as Android or even as web, and they will be linked to the same database so that your users can chat cross-platform. So now our Firebase database is all set up and we're ready to incorporate it into our app.